First Alert weather now.
Good evening and welcome to the Tuesday evening edition of First Alert Weather Now, kind of the Winter Storm Eve edition. I'm meteorologist Thompson.
And I'm meteorologist Messier.
Plenty to get to again tonight as we are still watching and waiting for two more winter storms this week. Last night's went without too much trouble, some slick roads up in the north and northwest.
But much different conditions are expected to begin late tonight and persist all the way through Wednesday.
Yeah, and affect all of us too. And we will also take a look at your forecast for fun, as well as this week's weather-wise question, which we have, I believe, is related to, what is it related to this week?
It's related to temperature this week. I don't choose the questions, but the kids are curious.
And there is plenty of colder temperatures on the way, which we'll show you in a little bit too.
That's true, but we are also going to break down everything you need to know with the winter storm expected to begin in the next several hours or so. This is what we have on our winter weather alerts all the way through early Thursday morning. We're expecting travel impacts. So we've got winter weather advisories out for our far northern counties. However, most of the area is under that winter storm warning. Travel is going to be hazardous all through the day on Wednesday. So if you haven't already, make some of those last minute plans. Make sure you've got your refrigerator stocked. Make sure if you have to be out driving, you have a winter safety kit in your car. That's going to be important. But if you don't have to be out on the roads tomorrow, you should probably be staying inside in your home. Now tonight we have these scattered snow showers expected to begin after really 3 a.m. That's when we're going to start to see those scattered snow showers begin, and that's going to become widespread by early Wednesday morning. So by 6 a.m. Wednesday morning, we'll see some of that widespread heavier bands of snow encompass eastern Iowa. That's going to continue throughout the entire day. So all the way through the evening, ending during the overnight hours on Wednesday. So all throughout the day, travel is going to be impacted. And of course, like Corey mentioned, this isn't the only system we are watching for. We've got another chance for some snow Friday and into the upcoming weekend. Now we are seeing on our radar just some light snow showers beginning to enter the area from the west. These are pretty light in nature right now. The heavier snow is expected to begin for tomorrow. So if you see some snowflakes out there this evening, don't expect it to be really the main system. Again, that's coming in for Wednesday. Road conditions are all seasonal for now. So again, if you have to run any last minute errands, now is the time to go out and get that done. This is the view on our Mount Vernon city cam. Again, quiet before the storm is what we have out there right now. Temperatures are in the teens and 20s. We're at 20 in Cedar Rapids and 12 in Waterloo. It feels like conditions or wind chills in the teens, single digits, and single digits below zero. Heading through the next several hours, again, all the way through the midnight hours, we're just expecting some light snow showers, maybe a couple of flurries, but then that main event really begins after 3 a.m. and then continues into the entirety of Wednesday. Now, Corey, you are going to talk more about the details of that storm.
Now, your First Alert forecast with meteorologist Thompson.
Like you said, Hannah, we are experiencing that quiet before the storm moves in. We've highlighted the snow box here on your first alert in red because we are expecting some pretty significant impacts from this system, especially as it moves through late in the morning and into the afternoon hours tomorrow. Now, we will still see some pretty decent impacts even already by the time you're headed out to work tomorrow. Lots of schools have already closed for Wednesday with the anticipation of this storm coming. You can find that full list on kcrg.com right now. Pinpoint Doppler radar right now showing some snow trying to fall across parts of eastern Iowa. So far, we haven't had reports of this reaching the ground in eastern Iowa, but off to the southwest, there have been occasional reports of this snow taking place. And so some of this, as it moves into especially the southeast half of the area, could result in a little bit of light snow late this evening into the early overnight hours. Now, we're not expecting that to be the main show. That waits for this area of low pressure and its associated moisture and its associated forcings. That's going to create those snow showers to develop on its cold side. That will be moving to the east as we go through the night and through the day tomorrow, staying to our south, but putting us on the favorable side of that track for the heavier snow. Your first alert forecast overnight still does call for snow to develop. We'll expect temperatures to be in the single digits to mid-teens for Decorah, 15 in Washington, and expect that sort of spread in temperatures to continue as we head through the next several days. Winter storm warning is in effect for most of us, as Hannah mentioned, stretching from back near Iowa Falls up through Prairie du Chien and points to the south. This is more of the area that was included yesterday at the same time in that winter storm watch. This is as the details of this system have become a little more clear to the National Weather Service. They expanded that to include most of the TV9 viewing area. Here we are at 6 o'clock. A few of those snow showers falling in central Iowa. Those will continue spreading to the east, but notice how scattered they stay as we go through the 10 o'clock hour. Now, later in the night, after that initial push of moisture moves through, you see it already in central Illinois by 2 o'clock overnight, more will be coming from the west. There's the main push of moisture with this system, and so light to moderate snow at least is looking to be likely by tomorrow morning. Sometimes during the day on Wednesday, the snow could be falling at the rate of 1 inch per hour, which will cause road conditions to deteriorate pretty quickly. Now, late in the morning, notice how this becomes a little bit lighter for a small period of time. It does look like a slight lull in activity will take place during that time range. Unfortunately, more will be moving in right behind it. And so the afternoon hours into the evening commute will be facing at least light to moderate snow again. And so that makes that critical drive time another range where we could see some pretty slick conditions develop. Now, by later tomorrow evening, this all starts to wind down. That's not before 6 to 9 inches of snow are likely for the dark blue area, 3 to 6 for the area northwest of that. Pretty well lines up with where the warning versus advisory is. We are expecting the snow to be lighter and fluffier, so as the system moves through and winds pick up a little bit tomorrow, we could see some minor blowing and drifting. So expecting 13 in Fayette, 19 in Oskaloosa, colder temperatures in place that will also help the snow to stick to the roads, especially as it really begins to pick up. Now notice those wind gusts again picking up a little bit tomorrow afternoon. Not extreme, but with the fluffy nature of the snow, strong enough to cause some trouble. Now, as we head into the weekend, another storm system will be arriving by Friday into Saturday. A little bit of snow is possible Friday afternoon and evening. This will be quickly moving off to the northeast, but then another push of moisture with this storm system, again, tracking to our south, will give us the opportunity for potentially more snow that accumulates on Saturday. So if you have travel plans that take you into the weekend, unfortunately, those too may also need some adjustment as this becomes more and more likely as we go through that time range. It's that second of 2 storm systems that we've been talking about left for this week. Now there's that 100% chance of snow for tomorrow. Looks like everyone sees those snowflakes for at least a period of time and likely for a long time. It's next week when we see, again, a little bit of a light snow chance on President's Day before temperatures turn quite a bit colder. Now it's not just Iowa that is seeing the winter storms this week. Take a look at this national map. These are all the winter related alerts: winter storm, winter weather advisory, cold weather alerts up near the Canada border. Yeah, plenty going on around the United States with those storm systems affecting a broad portion of the country.
That's right. That storm that's going to impact our area, also impacting places like Nebraska, all the way to Colorado, Kansas, Missouri, and even Illinois. Now, Laura Aguirre takes a look at how all of these states are preparing.
People should stay home. If you don't have to go anywhere, don't go.
Solid advice from Petersburg Public Works, and not just for Virginians, but for millions of people living up and down the eastern U.S. today. The first stop on a week-long rotation of snow, ice, and rain set to stretch coast to coast over the next few days. Virginia road crews in some counties worked 12-hour shifts to get as much salt and brine down as possible. Cities like New York and Boston still digging out after a weekend winter blast, now bracing for more, possibly later this week, as round 2 on Wednesday brings heavy snowfall from the Central Plains to the Midwest before revisiting the Northeast into Thursday. Then, by week's end on the West Coast,
we are now looking at what will be, up to this point, the most significant storm season so far this winter, impacting the greater Los Angeles area from Wednesday into Friday.
One that could pose a high risk of mudslides and debris flows over areas scarred by the recent fires in Southern California.
We're saying right now approximately a 50 to 70% chance of that activity.
Forecasters say the storm could eventually spread over the entire length of the state.
We're urging everyone to already have an evacuation plan, have multiple ways of receiving emergency alert information.
I'm Laura Aguirre reporting.
Well, it's nice to know we have a little bit of company, at least, in dealing with all this.
That's right. This is a pretty big, widespread winter storm, and I know a lot of places this isn't their first winter storm of the season. Missouri especially seems to have gotten hit several times, and they're going to be impacted by this storm as well.
Yeah, that I-70 corridor between Kansas City and St. Louis has seen it at least a handful of times, so they're used to it. We are kind of getting our first real experience of that heavier snow this time.
But we've been looking at it for the last several days, so we're pretty well prepared for, I think, this pretty significant weather impact we're expecting on Wednesday. But for a lot of people, snow is fun, and especially for our chief meteorologist, snow is fun.
Yeah, Joe Winters loves himself some snow, and he has this updated edition of your forecast for fun.
Although Wednesday won't be conducive for travel and being outside, there's a lot going on as we head toward Valentine's Day, and we'll take a look in your forecast for fun. Snow on Wednesday, again, take it easy. Thursday looks good, though, if you're out for a walk. Friday, though, could see some snow develop. Also some stronger winds on Friday out of the southeast, gusting higher than 30 at times. Galentine's Day, Central Furniture Rescue from 6 to 9 o'clock on Thursday. They're having a Friends-themed trivia night. Thursday looks good for travel, 12 degrees, and we will see some sunshine throughout the entire day. A creative class at the Nubo City Market on Friday from 4 to 7 o'clock. You can make a gift. How about making your own Valentine's Day jewelry? They are also going to see some snow in the forecast, though, as we head toward Friday later in the day. 26 degrees, our afternoon high. C is for cookie at the Hiawatha Community Center for Valentine's Day cookie decorating. That's on Friday. That's from 6 to 7:30. Should be a fun time as well. Kids invited to that event as well. 26 degrees. Some of those snow showers certainly a possibility as well. The Iowa women's basketball team on Thursday, they will be at Carver Hawkeye Arena. Rutgers comes to town. Tip-off at 6:30, 12 degrees early. Travel again looks fine for the Iowa women's basketball game. And the Iowa State men, they're in town in Ames on Saturday, 23 degrees, some snow showers possible. Cincinnati comes to Ohio State. Tip-off for that game is at 3 p.m. We'll get through the snow, and then you can have some time to have your fun. That's why we give you the forecast for fun.
Now, one of the most important weather elements that we track all the time in terms of like those really basic things is temperature. It's actually incredibly important to what we do here every day.
It really is. Even trying to forecast what type of winter precipitation we get, and even forecasting snow totals a lot of times does rely on that temperature forecast, not just here at the surface, but throughout the atmosphere. And that's what today's weather-wise question is about.
How do you predict the temperature each day?
That is a great question, and one of the main things we look at when we start predicting the temperature is what's going on at higher levels of the atmosphere. So what we're looking at here are some upper level winds, and specifically the jet stream. Now, a lot of times our upper level patterns are dictated by wave patterns. So we can see this is an example of the wave pattern we're going to see for tomorrow. So we have this dip in the jet stream in the atmosphere, and we've got purples up north of that dip, but then to the southeast, what we actually have is kind of a rising pattern. Notice that kind of by Florida and into the Atlantic, that rising pattern. This rising pattern typically means warmer temperatures, while this dipping pattern typically means colder temperatures. And so where the colder temperatures actually kind of swing north, a lot of times this is the area that actually has significant storms. So we watch for that in the upper level winds, but temperature wise, those dips from the north are where colder air lives, and those rising patterns farther to the south, that's where the warmer air lives. And a lot of those jet stream patterns also are where we find our fronts. So when forecasting temperatures, we look at not just the upper level winds, but what fronts and low pressure systems are doing at the surface. So behind warm fronts, we typically have our warmer air. So if we know a warm front has passed, we know that temperatures are going to be warmer that day. However, on the other side of the low pressure system, we've got these cold fronts. So colder air and high pressure systems typically live kind of behind those cold fronts a lot of times. And so if we know a cold front is going to be coming in later in the afternoon, we know that temperatures are likely to drop. So that's kind of how some of our larger scale patterns typically affect our temperature forecast, but smaller scale patterns can affect it too. So actually, if we look at what happens sometimes during the winter and what we're going to see on Thursday, when we have colder air, like when we have snow on the ground, and typically when we have clearer skies, then we get an effect called radiational cooling. This causes kind of the energy that the sun produces during the day to be able to escape quickly into the atmosphere, causing our temperatures to drop. So in the winter, when we know that there's snow on the ground and decent snow on the ground in clear skies, we know that temperatures are going to drop. On the other side of the spectrum, in the summer, one of the things we look at that can impact temperatures are whether you're in a city or in a more rural area. So, because in a city, when you think about it, all of the concrete, all of the glass, all of the asphalt we have in the city heats up faster than kind of the grass and the farmland we have in rural areas. That means during the summer, we typically have higher temperatures in the cities compared to the rural areas. So a lot of times when meteorologists forecast, we also have to take in smaller scale features like this, in addition to the larger scale features like the upper level wind patterns and what the fronts are doing. And that urban heat island effect can actually have quite the effect. Look at this. It can be 92 degrees in a downtown city and still only 85 degrees in a rural area because of that urban heat island effect. Now, thank you so much for sending in that question. If you have a question you'd like to be answered here on Weather Now, you can go over to kcrg.com/unews.
And temperatures over the next several days will show a little bit of variation. Tomorrow staying cold and probably even a little bit colder than today by a handful of degrees. Many areas got into the 20s. Teens probably the best we can accomplish, and in the north that may even be a little bit of a struggle. Again, snow widespread, expecting significant travel disruption, and we're already seeing again a lot of cancellations, delays. You can find those on kcrg.com. Thursday in the morning hours look like they're going to be pretty chilly. Those lows below zero translate to wind chills at least 11 below zero. Same on Friday with those below zero numbers. Saturday an exception, and then Sunday and Monday will get colder, even colder than what we're expecting on Thursday and Friday. That Saturday exception is because temperatures on Friday night to Saturday after your Valentine's Day, which could include some snow showers during the evening hours, are still expected to be fairly warm. 29 degrees for a high on Saturday. So when snow falls there, it's going to be of a wetter nature compared to the snow that we're expecting tonight, which is going to be a very light and fluffy through the day tomorrow. A little bit of light snow on President's Day, rounding out the long weekend for some folks. Temperatures will be in the teens and staying that way next week. A prolonged period of particularly colder temperatures, certainly colder than normal. Keeping an eye on the possibility of some temperatures that will be, well, staying a little bit cold as we go through that time period, and just overall looking for a period of time that could be still fairly active. Now, fortunately, it doesn't look quite as active as this week, and so we are expecting things to stay fairly quiet. There's a look at pinpoint Doppler radar with your snow moving in. Still fairly limited at this point, but we'll be watching it closely as we go through the next few hours. We'll, of course, have updates on kcrg.com, the KCRG TV9 First Alert Weather app on TV9 on air. We've got the 10 o'clock news and the morning news tomorrow morning to get you going for your Wednesday. Lots to watch, and we'll be watching it here.
That's right. All throughout the day tomorrow, we'll be tracking the road conditions. We'll be talking snowfall totals and impacts across eastern Iowa with this system. And we'll have live updates tomorrow night, same time and place as you saw us here. Have a great night.